The notification popped up on my phone just as I was rushing to finish a client presentation. Another video alert from the hidden camera. My hands trembled as I opened the app, already knowing what I'd see. There was my 3-year-old son, Ethan, sitting alone in the living room, calling out Aunt Marissa? Aunt Marissa, while my sister-in-law Marissa was nowhere to be found. This had been happening for 2 months now, ever since I'd installed the cameras. 2 months of evidence. 2 months of rage building inside me. And today, on her wedding day, everyone would finally know the truth about Marissa. My name is Sarah, I'm 32, and I work as a financial analyst for a major investment firm. When my husband James died in a car accident 2 years ago, I thought my world had ended. But I had to keep going for Ethan. I had to be both mother and father, provider and nurturer. The life insurance helped, but it wouldn't last forever. I needed to work. That's when Marissa swooped in like an angel. Or so I thought. "Sarah, honey, you can't put that baby in daycare," she'd exclaimed 6 months ago, clutching her pearls dramatically. "Those places are horrible. All those germs, strangers watching him. No. I'll watch him. Family takes care of family." I'd been skeptical. Marissa had never shown much interest in Ethan before. She was my late husband's younger sister, 28, unemployed, and living off her parents' money while planning her extravagant wedding to Todd, a successful real estate developer. "That's sweet, Marissa, but I couldn't ask you to." "Nonsense. I'm family. Though," she'd paused, tapping her manicured nails on my kitchen counter, "I would need some compensation. You understand. Wedding expenses and all. How about $2,000 a month?" I'd nearly choked on my coffee. $2,000. The daycare I was looking at charges $1,200. Yes, but they won't love him like family. They won't give him individual attention. Plus, I'll be giving up my freedom, my ability to work. She'd trailed off, knowing I was aware she hadn't worked a day in her life. But I was desperate. Good daycares had waiting lists, and I needed to return to work immediately. My savings were dwindling, and the mortgage wouldn't pay itself. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The first few weeks seemed fine. Marissa would arrive at 8 a.m., I'd leave for work, and return by 6 p.m. to find Ethan happy and fed. She'd regale me with stories of their day. Trips to the park, educational games, healthy snacks. I started to relax, thinking I'd made the right choice. Then came the red flags. Ethan started having accidents again, after being potty trained for months. He'd wake up crying from nightmares about being alone. He became clingy, terrified when I'd leave for work. When I asked him about his days with Aunt Marissa, he'd say strange things like, "Aunt Marissa goes bye-bye," or, "I played by myself like a big boy." "Marissa, is everything okay with Ethan? He seems anxious lately," I'd asked one evening. She'd waved dismissively. "Oh, you know how kids are. Probably just a phase. He's perfectly happy with me all day. Aren't you, sweetie?" But Ethan had just buried his face in my shoulder. The breaking point came when I arrived home early one day due to a canceled meeting. Marissa's car wasn't in the driveway. I found Ethan alone, sobbing in his playpen, his diaper soaked through and his lunch untouched on the counter. "Mama," he'd cried, reaching for me desperately. "Aunt Marissa went bye-bye long time." I'd called Marissa furiously. She answered on the 5th ring, background noise suggesting she was at a restaurant. "Oh, Sarah, you're home early. I just stepped out for a quick lunch with friends." Ethan was napping. He's wide awake and has been alone for God knows how long. Don't be dramatic. I have a baby monitor app on my phone. He was fine. That night, I'd ordered hidden cameras. High definition, motion activated with cloud storage. I had them installed throughout the house while Marissa was at her dress fitting. I told myself I was probably overreacting, that I'd watch for a few days and confirm she was just taking longer lunches than appropriate. What I discovered was worse than my darkest fears. Marissa would arrive at 8 a.m. as promised. By 8:30, she'd be gone, leaving Ethan in his playpen with some toys and snacks within reach. She'd return briefly around noon to give him lunch, then disappear again until 5:45 p.m., just before I got home. Some days, she didn't come back at all during the day. My baby spent 8 hours a day essentially alone, entertaining himself, crying for attention that never came. The footage broke my heart, him calling for her, eventually giving up and playing quietly by himself, rationing the snacks she'd left because he didn't know when he'd eat again. I documented everything. Every timestamp, every absence, every moment of neglect. I consulted a lawyer about pressing charges, but was advised to gather more evidence first. 2 months of evidence, all leading to today. Her wedding day. I stood outside the church, my phone heavy with videos in my designer clutch. Inside, 200 guests were gathering to celebrate Marissa's union with Todd. She'd been bragging about this wedding for months. The $15,000 dress, the exotic flowers, the 7-tier cake. All while collecting $2,000 a month from me to neglect my child. Sarah, you made it. My former mother-in-law, Linda, rushed over to embrace me. Marissa wasn't sure you'd come, with work and all. Where's little Ethan? With a real babysitter, I replied, returning her hug. Linda, I need to talk to you about something important. About Marissa. Her face fell. Oh honey, I know you two have had your differences, but today's her special day. Can't whatever it is wait. I'm afraid not. It's about Ethan's safety. That got her attention. I pulled her aside and showed her just one video. Ethan crying alone for 20 minutes straight. Linda's face went white. There's more, I said quietly. 2 months worth. I've been paying her $2,000 a month to abandon him daily. Oh my God, Linda whispered, hand over her mouth. We need to tell Todd. No, I interrupted. Marissa needs to face this publicly. She's been lying to everyone, taking my money while endangering my child. Everyone who thinks she's this sweet, caring person needs to know the truth. Linda looked torn but slowly nodded. James would be furious if he knew his sister was treating his son this way. Do what you need to do. The ceremony was beautiful, I had to admit. Marissa looked radiant in her designer gown, Todd beamed with pride, and not a single person suspected that their perfect day was about to implode. When it came time for speeches at the reception, I waited patiently through the maid of honors gushing tribute and Todd's father's welcome to the family. Then, during a lull, I stood up, tapping my champagne glass. Excuse me, everyone. I'd like to say a few words about the bride. Marissa's face lit up, probably thinking I was about to thank her for all her help with Ethan. Todd smiled encouragingly. My name is Sarah. I'm Marissa's sister-in-law, widow to her brother James. Many of you know that I lost my husband 2 years ago, leaving me to raise our son Ethan alone. Sympathetic murmurs rippled through the crowd. What you might not know is that 6 months ago, Marissa generously offered to babysit Ethan while I worked. She insisted family should care for family. Marissa preened at the perceived compliment, not noticing the phone in my hand. She charged me $2,000 a month for this service. More than any daycare, but I agreed because I trusted her. Because she promised to treat him like her own child. I paused, connecting my phone to the venue's AV system. I'd like to show you all how Marissa treats children in her care. The first video played on the large screen behind the head table. There was Marissa, arriving at 8 a.m. Then the timestamp jumped to 8:30. She was walking out the door, Ethan calling after her. The murmurs turned to gasps. No, 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 Marissa shrieked, jumping up. Turn it off. That's not, I can explain. But I kept playing videos. Ethan crying. Ethan trying to climb out of his playpen. Ethan rationing his goldfish crackers because he didn't know when he'd eat again. The timestamp showed the truth. 8, sometimes 9 hours alone. $2,000 a month, I said, my voice carrying over the shocked whispers. To abandon a 3-year-old. To leave him trapped and alone while she went shopping, got her nails done, had lunch with friends. 2 months of evidence, all while she told me stories about their wonderful days together. Todd stared at his bride in horror. Marissa, what is this? You said you were helping with your nephew. You said. It's not what it looks like. Marissa wailed, mascara streaming down her face. I had errands. I had wedding planning. He was fine. He was 3 years old. I roared, my composure finally cracking. You left a baby alone for hours. You took my money and abandoned my child. The room erupted. Linda was crying, Todd's parents looked mortified, and guests were pulling out their phones to record the drama. Todd stood frozen, looking between the screens still playing footage and his sobbing bride. The wedding's off, he announced quietly, his voice cutting through the chaos. I can't marry someone who would do this to a child. To family. Todd, please. Marissa reached for him, but he stepped back. My sister has a 2-year-old, he said, his voice growing stronger. If you could do this to your own nephew, what would you do to our children? Security moved to escort the hysterical Marissa out as the reception dissolved into chaos. I gathered my things, feeling strangely empty. The revenge I'd planned so carefully didn't bring the satisfaction I'd expected. It just left me tired. Linda caught up to me in the parking lot. Sarah, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. We'll pay you back every penny she took. I shook my head. I don't want the money. I just wanted people to know the truth. I wanted her to face consequences. She will, Linda assured me. We're cutting her off. Completely. And if you want to press charges, I'm still considering it. For now, I just want to get home to my son. To my real babysitter who actually watches him. As I drove home, my phone buzzed with messages. The video had already gone viral, shared by wedding guests. Bridezilla busted for child abandonment at own wedding was trending locally. Marissa's perfect reputation was in ruins. But none of that mattered as much as walking into my apartment and seeing Ethan's face light up. Mama! He ran to me and I scooped him up, holding him tight. I'm here, baby. Mama's always going to protect you. My phone rang, an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. You ruined my life. Marissa screamed. Todd left me. My parents won't talk to me. I'm getting death threats. How could you do this to me? How could I? I laughed bitterly. Marissa, you endangered my child for money. You lied, you neglected him. You betrayed every ounce of trust one placed in you. You ruined your own life. It was just babysitting. He was fine. No, Marissa. He wasn't fine. And neither are you if you still can't see what you did wrong. I hung up and blocked the number. Later that evening, as I tucked Ethan into bed, he looked up at me with those big brown eyes so like his father's. No more Aunt Marissa? No, baby. No more Aunt Marissa. Good, he said solemnly. She made me sad. My heart broke all over again. I know, sweetie. But you're safe now. Mama made sure of it. As he drifted off to sleep, I reflected on everything that had happened. I'd lost my husband, been betrayed by family I'd trusted, and had to become someone I never thought I'd be. Someone who could plan and execute such public revenge. But I'd do it all again to protect my son. That's what parents do. We fight for our children, even when it means burning bridges and destroying relationships. Marissa learned that the hard way. The epilogue came 6 months later. Marissa had moved to another state to escape the scandal. Todd was engaged to someone new. Linda still sent birthday cards and Christmas gifts for Ethan, always with notes of apology. And me? I'd found an excellent daycare with cameras I could monitor from work, staff who actually cared, and other children for Ethan to play with. The $2,000 a month I saved went into his college fund. It seemed fitting. The money Marissa had taken through deception would now build Ethan's future. He was thriving, the nightmares and anxiety gone, replaced by the normal chaos of a happy preschooler. Sometimes I wondered if I'd gone too far, if public humiliation had been excessive. Then I'd remember those videos of my baby crying alone, and any guilt would evaporate. Marissa made her choices. I simply made sure she faced the consequences. Family takes care of family, she'd said. She was right, and that's exactly what I did.